All right, and we're rolling. So I know
All
we
right.
talked, as the show was coming to an end last week, we talked about getting into the hedgehog concept, and we decided to pull an audible. David wanted to talk about my book, and this looks a little crooked. You can go ahead, David.
So, I mean, we've talked a lot about Hunter's book. We've talked a lot about, referenced it a lot in a lot of the podcasts, videos, those kind of things. And so I thought it would be good to do a interview the author kind of thing. And maybe get a little bit more in depth about the book, since we reference it so much, right? And maybe just bring it to the forefront, some of the things that you reference that people that haven't read the book may not have knowledge of.
Okay.
When you say this or that, or that's what we're going to do.
All right.
All right. So we're going to interview the author kind of thing. And I came up with a bunch of questions, but so one of the things I came away with, and I've read this a few times, listened to it on Audible, then I read it a couple times too. It's not, don't pick up this book thinking you're going to get a theology book, but you're going to get connection to theology. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll tell you 3 things that I came away with. Because I read things through the lens of my faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the connections I made to my faith through the book.
Okay.
So you reference calling a lot, and you talk about your calling. You reference that a lot. So I kind of reference that to stewardship.
Okay.
Talk about discipline a lot in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I reference that to obedience. And you talk about self-mastery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of reference that in my head to spiritual growth.
Okay.
So am I way off track there or not?
No, I think you're tracking. Mm-hmm. I think you're tracking.
Expand and expound. You hate when I do that.
In terms of the calling piece, and that's interesting, I think we might actually get into a little bit of the hedgehog regardless, because I think calling can be interconnected with what we were talking about last week. What can you become deeply passionate about? What drives your economic engine? And what can you be the best in the world at?
Oh, that's hedgehog.
It is hedgehog.
It's very hedgehog.
It's very hedgehog. Yeah. And so that's what, and I think whenever you can figure out what your calling is, I'm not sure if it's figuring out what your calling is, because I think most people have a knowing of what it is without being able to articulate it, potentially. I know that's something that I've been struggling with lately. But I think that is also synonymous with your gift, whatever the gift God gave you is, I think is aligned with your calling. Going back to your other points there, in terms of self-mastery, absolutely. It is very much so. My brother-in-law sent me a picture of where I talk about like what is self-mastery part 1. I think one of the chapters in it, it's not about mastering oneself. It's about the things that used to be masters over you no longer are. And so for me, I've talked about idolatry being a big one for me in the past. And then the last one was discipline. Yeah, I think that also ties back to the hedgehog concept, especially for men, especially for married men, because what drives your economic engine, it's not so much about loving money, it's providing the stability and security for your family and your future. It's like, do that thing, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people get that wrong, that that money is in of itself bad. It's the love of money. It's, it's bad. It's not, money is not, in QSR and leadership, in entrepreneurship and starting a business, money is not a bad thing.
No.
You know, profit is not bad. Money is not bad. The love of it is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but money is just a tool. You know, we just got done using a screwdriver. It's no, money is the screwdriver.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Before we got on the air, there's some context. Before we got on the air, David and I were messing around with some of our guns, and we were trying to fix something on one of my rifles, and so we had to get a screwdriver out just so people didn't wonder what the hell
right.
David's talking about screwdriver.
Not vodka and orange juice.
Mm.
So I kind of broke the questions up a little bit going through the book. You know, I didn't stick to the chapters necessarily, but I tried to formulate these based upon leadership, because this is a leadership, you know, QSR and leadership. So you talk how self-awareness, identity, that kind of thing. How do you know if you are successful or just successfully stuck? You talk a lot. You do reference success in the book, and that success isn't necessarily the measure of that you're in the right place. So how do you know if you're successful because you're in the right place, or if you're just successfully stuck? And I think that successfully stuck, I took that right out of your book.
When the wins start to feel meaningless, I think that's when you're successfully stuck. Another achievement is Vapius. You get it, and then it's kind of, okay, well, now where to go? It's gone. The high lasts just as long as you realize that you attained it, whatever that is. Whether, like, hey, I made executive counsel in 6 weeks at New York Life Insurance Company. It's like, as soon as I got that title, it's like, okay, and now I feel empty.
And you wanted the next title, and the next
and then the next one, and the next one, and then the next one, and the next one, the next one. And so, yeah, a mountain of meaningless wins, I think, is when you start to realize that you are successfully stuck, because then it's no longer anything more than an addiction. You're an addict. You're an addict. You're chasing that next little dopamine spike in success, and
so then how
that's
do you know,
tough.
How do you know if you're successful?
Yeah, well, you have to define success. So what is that?
Okay.
Right? And so that's sort of why I've been wrestling so much. When I say this, I'm not trying to derail what you're saying. I'm just trying to be open and honest. Like, that's why I've been wrestling so much with, like, what is my hedgehog? Because that would very much clear up a lot of things for me. And I wouldn't be wrestling, for lack of a better word, as far as, you know, what I can be the best in the world at, because, and that's another thing with that buttresses your question. And I think that's where I was successfully stuck, is because I had a curse of competence. I was very good at being a salesman. I was very good at growing a business. I was very good at consulting. I was very good at being a strength coach, but none of those things were my calling. Right? And being very good or even outstanding is not the same as what you can actually be the best in the world at. What is that thing? Right? It's not a strategy to become the best in the world at something. It's not an intention to. It is quite literally, what can Joe Blow, John Smith, become the best in the world at? And I think that is directly in line with your calling, whatever that may be.
So if we bring that to QSR,
yeah,
and let's say we bring it to QSR and even bring it down to the individual unit, store, you know, and you're the RGM or the manager of that store, what can this store be the best at? This store can be the best at speed. This store can be the best at customer service. This store can be the best at fill in the blank. Is that, I mean, you know, when I'm bringing it way down to
I think the restaurant
level,
manager has to not ask the question about the store, but then his or herself. what can I be the best in the world at?
In this position that I'm placed in right now, what can I be the best at or no?
But no, I think it transcends that. I think that.
Yeah, I'm taking us away from hedgehog here.
Say it again.
I said I'm taking us away from hedgehog, but
keep going then.
okay.
Keep going. No. I'm not saying. I'm
yeah.
not saying skip the question.
So-
I'm saying word it differently because now I'm kind of stuck.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to apply this book into
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah.
And specifically leadership in QSR. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I gotcha.
okay.
Yeah. So like, if you want to apply the book into leadership in QSR, well, then just take the 3 steps. Put God first, go all in, and then run your race. So if you're in this, how does it apply to the unit, the store, the manager? Well, I mean, if you're putting God first, then you know that you are right where you're supposed to be, because Jesus was in the market. He was not in the temple. Right. And so he was also, what did he say? Like, the doctor is in, and he people who are healthy don't come to see the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that we work with come from all different walks of life. Mm-hmm. And you can just put them all under an umbrella called sick, right? For lack of a better way of saying it. It's crass, but whatever. A lot of people are broke. A lot of people are broken. And if you're putting God first, then you know that you're right where you're supposed to be, because that's where he was. Mm-hmm. Right? And then from there, then you go all in. What does that mean? Well, I think it means different things for different people. And then, are you going all in on your job? Yeah, you could do that, but then you can start to have substrates of that. Well, what are you going all in? Are you going all in on speed? Are you going all in on development? Are you going all in on cost of goods or like metrics? Like, what is your thing, right? And that comes with trial and error, but then also listening to, some people call it the gut. Some people call it like you and I would call it the spirit. Mm-hmm. And that will very much guide you as far as what you need to go all in on. And then from there, you've got to have the perseverance and steadfastness and stick-to-itiveness to run your race. Okay. And that's something that I struggle with a lot, because I like to go fast. Right. And pretty much anything that I do. And I sometimes have to slow down, set my starting blocks, and not compare or compete against anybody other than myself.
Right. And there are times, especially in QSR, because quick is in our name. Mm-hmm. And I've struggled with it too. It's like, I want this metric by this time on this day. And it took me a while to get to the point where it's like, this may not be short term. This may be a midterm goal. This may be a long term goal. That's really hard to figure out, I think. So I'm going to ask a couple questions about default, but beforehand, why don't you just give a quick synopsis of what in the book default means?
Default is an unconscious form of self-sabotage. It's a program running in the background that you're not even aware of. And kind of like when you're driving home from work and you have every intention of stopping at the gym or going to the grocery store or filling up with gas on your way home, but you all of a sudden just get in this autopilot, and all of a sudden you realize you've just taken the exit that's going to your house. And it's like, well, how the hell did I get here? Well, it's kind of like how default works, right? In terms of whatever the self-sabotaging activity might be, in terms of promiscuity or binge eating or weed or, fiscal irresponsibility. It can go on and on and on, right? But an analogy that I use is, it's kind of like sawing off the branch that you're sitting on. Mm-hmm. People do it all the time.
So default is something that, I mean, you kind of reference in a roundabout way St. Ignatius Loyola, right? In that, or who was it? Aristotle. The child,
St. Francis,
7 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you give me the child until he is 7, I will show you the man.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's Loyola, right? St. Ignatius Loyola. Or Aristotle, depending on who you compare it to. But in that, you say your default is kind of set in your, right?
Yeah, your personality, your personal realities as children become your personalities as adults.
Right. Mm-hmm. What are signs your default is running your leadership?
You have to ask you to check yourself to see how quick you are to react. How reactionary are you when something happens? Whether there's a no call, no show, or your boss is telling you to do something, or things like that. Yeah, default can definitely show up in your leadership in terms of, like myself, I'm somebody who's, if somebody no calls, no shows, one of my defaults is to think, well, I mean, is this person somebody that we can actually rely on for the future, sort of thing, rather than doing some investigation and figuring out why this happened and all of those things. I've gotten way better at that. Trying to think of other ways that my default shows up in leadership. My default it shows up in leadership. Certainly, I have empathy. I don't have a lot of sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when people complain about things being hard, that doesn't really sit well with me, because I just because of what happened 3 years ago, it's like you don't know
Right.
what hard is.
But you don't know they're hard.
I don't know they're hard, but
Right.
I also don't know. But it's also difficult for them to perceive what I'm trying to convey to them, because there was some, like, I had a talk with a guy who was having some accountability issues, and I told him to start working out, and he said, yeah, I did it 15 years ago. I'm skeptical. And my first thought was, yeah, but you don't do it the way that I do it.
So you
So like if you did it the way that I do it, you would know what hard actually is. It's like you going to the gym or doing whatever bullshit high school football lifting program you did 15 years ago. That's not what I'm talking about. Right? So
where have you chosen safety over calling? So I'm asking these questions.
it's actually reversed for me. I'm glad that's a great question.
Okay.
Because it's actually reversed for me. I'm very entrepreneurially wired. And so I'm very much so of the point. I mean, how many times have we talked on here about me and you starting our own thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate having a boss,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I have to be responsible for this reason and season in my life to provide security
Right.
for my family.
I hate having a boss. Took me a long time to realize that everybody has a boss. Even if
you're an entrepreneur, your boss is the customer or
right.
client, right?
Yeah.
But
then in my frame of reference, everybody has a boss. The ultimate boss, of course, is God.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know the answers to a lot of these, but can a leader be effective but still be in the wrong role?
Yeah, I think we were just talking about it a little bit before we got to this show, because that's one thing that I was talking to you about, right? I mean, because part of the reason why I decided to, in leaping from the Subway concept to the Taco Bell concept, was because I wanted another shot at being in the store as opposed to above it.
Right.
Because I'm of the belief that the change you want happens at the store level, not above it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to go in there and show that that's exactly the case. Right? And so now, as you know, company is starting to say, okay, well, do we want Hunter in a bigger role with larger influence? I'm starting to sit back and reflect. It's like, but the change is what happens in the store. I mean, do I want to leave the store, sort of thing, right? So, what was your question? What was your question? I lost it.
Can a leader
still
be effective?
Yes.
But be in the wrong role?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we just use the example that I just used. Was I effective as a senior district manager with the Subway brand? Yeah. Was I in the wrong seat? Maybe. I don't know, because I've had a lot of success being in the store with this concept. So
So how does that misalignment,
Because I was
how does that misalignment show up then in your team's culture?
because you're shouldering it with them when you're in the store, as opposed to dictating from above it.
Mhm.
Right? Here's what your labor is for this period. Here's what your cost of goods are. Here's your truck budgets. Here's how many hours you have. Right? That's from above the store.
Mhm.
In the store, it's more about, okay, here's how we're going to get it done. Right? So, and I lean a lot into stories.
Mhm.
I lean a lot into the definition of a story when I'm in the store, and that resonates. Just, hey, a story is a character who wants something and has to overcome conflict to get it. Well, guys, here's the thing. Here's the conflict, right?
So then,
and it's a big one.
so
And the
then
bigger
if-
the problem, the better the story. So we're going to have one hell of a story to tell after we get through this. Or when we're getting smacked and we're understaffed. And so I'll just start laughing on the line with my people and just be like, hey, well, we're going to have a great story to tell. Remember the time when, right?
what is the cost of leading without purpose?
I don't think that you can. I don't think you're leading if you're leading without purpose. I think you're managing.
Okay. I mean, that's exactly the answer I thought.
You know,
You know. So you talk a lot about winning in this book. You talk about success in this book. Have you ever won in the wrong game, and what did it feel like?
yeah, I've won the wrong game. 20 years of it. We talk about it in the book. I won in the wrong game as an insurance salesman. I won in the wrong game as a consultant for the Special Forces. I won in the wrong game as a strength coach, as a consultant, as an online coach. Won in the wrong game as a copywriter. And he said, "What does it feel like?"
Yeah. So I
It's kind of like having sex with somebody that you had no intention of getting back together with, but then you wake up and then you're back in a relationship with somebody who isn't necessarily bad, but when you two are together, it's just poison, toxic, it's bad, right? But you were just again chasing that little dopamine kick, pleasure at your nerve endings, and then you'd say, "What the hell just happened?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? My 20s were littered with that. So like, you know, I had so many relationships that were just so diabolically not good for either one of us, and we would just chase that sexual chemistry, and yeah, it was great. But then you wake up the next day, and now you're both you're together again. You're miserable. It's like, what the hell just happened? Why did we do this to ourselves, right? But I think I think a lot of people do that with a lot of different things in their lives. But that's what it feels like. It just feels like, okay, you just did the deed. Now you're waking up and you're feeling hollow and empty and guilty and dirty and shameful and disgusted with yourself. And now you've brought somebody else into it as well, and they feel the same way about it, right?
What? So this is one I've been pondering a lot. How do companies, organizations, how do they reward outcomes that don't really matter in the long term?
How do they reward outcomes that don't matter in the long term? Well, I mean, I have no problem saying this because my boss and I have talked about it, as has my boss and my boss's boss, and we've all talked about it. I think if you're bonusing certain things that don't get put in the bank, that's a problem. Does that make sense?
If you're bonusing certain things that don't get put in the bank.
Right. We do not put drive-through times in the bank. We put money in the bank. Right. So, I mean, I've had periods where again, very proud to say that the store that I no longer oversee, there wasn't one period that we weren't perfect during my time there.
And by perfect.
And by perfect, I mean we hit labor, we hit all 3 different speeds of service overall after 5 and front counter, and we made ICOS, which is limiting the amount of food that we wasted per week and month, that whichever was desirable, and it fluctuates because the menu changes, right? Some of those months we did not hit controllable profit and other things. Our labor might have been in line in the metrics, but not in the P&L, right? Because I take a lot of pride in how well we paid my people there. And so although from an hour standpoint, on the metrics, it was green, on the P&L, it was red. But I was getting bonused based on the green on the metrics. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So then how can leaders, organizations shift from results driven to purpose driven without losing performance? We're very results driven. QSR is very results driven. How can you make a shift in the industry to, instead of being results driven, you're purpose driven, but you don't lose performance, because performance is what puts money in the bank.
You empower more people.
Okay.
You empower more people. You get people to commit instead of comply. And I think that's how you do it, because that's
So how do you do that?
You figure out what you identify what you get somebody. You don't identify. You get somebody to tell you what it is that they want, and then you conceptualize for them that the vehicle that they're sitting in right now, whether it's as a food champion or an assistant general manager, is precisely the thing that can drive them to what it is that they want. Okay. That's how you do it. So in my experience, that's how you do it.
So with every single employee, you find out what they want.
Not every single one. Okay. Not every single one, but the ones that I particularly like working with are the ones that other people have written off. That's the fun part for me. In fact, my boss the other day, we were just talking, and I was working a late shift on Wednesday night, and there was a kid there. He's 18 years old. And he started talking to me about becoming a team trainer. And I talked to her and I said, we might have another Damien on our hands. And Damien is a kid that 3 months ago was somebody who they weren't sure was going to be kept around. And now he's a manager at this location. And I said, if I get more time with Chad, I think he can be another Damien. And there was a pause there, and then she just asked, she says, how do you do that?
So you and I have had this conversation back in the day where you've brought people to me, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
David, I want to make this person a manager. I want to do this with this person. And I'm like, no. Patting myself on the back a little bit, I'm like, okay, we're going to go with Hunter's gut and see what happens. I mean, then there were successes and a few failures.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that because of my philosophy of the restaurant manager is the most important person in the organization, and you've put them in that position, you better heed their advice or heed their suggestion, right? So this is my biggie is that anything above the restaurant manager is only there to support the restaurant manager. The most important person in your organization is the person leading your unit. What habits? I'm talking now. You talk a lot about self-sabotage. In the book, and without buy the book, read the book. We had a meeting. I bought the book for what, 20 some district managers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it is not a QSR focused book,
No.
but it is there's definitely leadership enhancing pearls in the book. All right. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about that and how people, you talk a lot about self-sabotage, that we self-sabotage. What habits keep leaders stuck even after they're successful? Even after they've had success, what keeps them stuck?
Boredom.
Okay. I mean, I don't know the answers to these questions, so I'm...
Boredom. It's such a paradox because being at a work and so context for the listener, the store that I'm officially no longer overseeing is a train store.
Okay.
It's like cream of the crop in terms of the company's portfolio. It took us 8 months to get to that point. The store that I'm now overseeing, we'll call it a work in progress. And that's why I'm there. I am way happier, way more fulfilled, and enjoy and look forward to going to work at the work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
More than I ever did after we established ourselves at store one. Why? Because it's boring. Mm-hmm. At store one. It's like you come in, you clock in, you go out. Store runs itself. It's very boring. And yes, that is quite literally the definition of good management, is that it runs without you. But and I'm not saying that the store that I'm overseeing right now can't run without me. It does. It is. And the strides that we've made in less than 2 weeks together, crazy. But it's the climb that feels way better to me than reaching the peak. Because once you're at the top, it's like, okay, well, then you're at the top.
So the habit that keeps leaders stuck after they've had success is the success itself. I've had success here. I'm going to stay here. It's successful.
Yeah, it's like you want it, and that's what you're working towards. But then as soon as you get it, it's like, man, this is not what I wanted. So that's why it's called a paradox, because it's like, because right now, getting the store to, and then they start getting some traction, and all of a sudden they're believing in themselves, and all of a sudden they're getting like really pissed off if they don't finish number one for launch number one on the leaderboard for the drive-through times on dinner. Like, they get pissed, and so like it's like, okay, great. So this is becoming a cultural thing now, like speed and all of these things.
So why do you think that the high achiever employee, mm-hmm. the person that has success like that, why do they struggle to change direction?
Change direction how?
Why I'm successful. So obviously, like my grandson says, we think different, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we've both seen very successful people, mm-hmm. who have reached a level of success in their industry and leadership, whatever. And that's where they coast. That's where they plateau. That's, they're just, is it fear? What is it that, we've had so much success here. We have success, and I have found myself doing this, is that a leader in my organization, someone in my organization will come to me and say, why don't we do this? And I've had an instantaneous reaction that it's like, why would I do that? Because I'm already having success. Mm-hmm. Why do high achievers struggle to change direction?
Why?
I have success there. Why would I change direction? I'm successful. Why would I change direction? You were very successful. You talk about this in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You were extremely successful in the insurance industry,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You think different, but most people would look at that and say, I'm extremely successful here. Why don't I stay here? What's the struggle right there to change direction?
Have a good shift. Toulouse.
Oh, should I show him my gun? No, not now.
There you go. My son's going to work and our cat is in the driveway. He just to make sure he didn't run him over. Love you. You know, honestly, I think it's because that they not to why did I do that? Why? Because I was on the doorstep of becoming, I mean, not only the greatest insurance salesman at that general office, but quite literally in the entire company. And that is truly the case. So why did I throw it all away? I think not to inject the hedgehog concept into it, but I'm going to. I didn't know what my thing was. I didn't know what my thing was. And so then when I saw Dan Pena, I'm just like, oh well, let me go try that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because once you know what your calling is, then, and more importantly, what your calling is not, then you never stray from the way.
Okay.
Stray from the way.
So what does another concept in the book, self-mastery. So what does real self-mastery look like in daily leadership? In daily running, your store, in daily,
you know what
does
you're
self-mastery look
yeah,
like?
you know what you're good at, and you outsource or delegate all the things that you're not. You don't try to be everything for everybody.
Okay.
So we have a great example. So right now we have a best on block challenge / visit / whatever coming up, and I've got a leader in my store. She's been with the company for 37 years, and really can't run a shift on her own. She's been doing it a long time. She's getting up there. And if I want to run a green shift, probably not going to have her leading the charge on speed. So, as you and I have talked about before, is like, are you not good at your job, or are you just not in the right seat?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've deployed her to be the head of Best on Block, i.e. cleanliness. And she can do that. She can run with that. I am not the person to be put in charge for Best on Block because I do not major in the minors. I'm not going to go around and look at a store and just be like, I can see these things, right? I can see that there's a little bit of scuff on the hinge to the walk-in cooler that might catch the eye of an above store leader, and they'd be like, well, why isn't that being clean? I'm like, okay, well, listen, look at the P&L, look at the perfect periods. Like, that's what matters to me. Thank you very much. It's like, so, but that's not my lane, right? But that's somebody else's lane. I'm not going to go in there and be like, oh man, those fries aren't visually full. Like, there needs to be 17 fries in there and not 15. Like, what is that? Like, that's not my thing. But I think a lot of people try to go full speed in every direction.
Yeah, but that thing is important.
That thing is important.
Even if it's not your thing,
yeah,
it's important to.
Yeah, so if
I have to identify the person. So part of being a good leader is identifying the person who that's their thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First who, then what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so going to veer off a little bit here because faith is very important to me. My faith, so I'm going to ask some faith-related questions. All right,
mm-hmm.
Which I think is important in leadership. How does faith shape the idea of your calling and responsibility?
How does faith shape the idea of your calling and responsibility?
Yeah. Trying to think of a better way to word that, but Because you talk a lot about calling, you talk a lot about in the book about responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, the more in communication you are with him, the more he'll make it obvious as to what that is for you. So on the broader scale, you can just think about Jeremiah 29:11. I have plans for you to prosper and have a future, not to harm you, and all of those things, right? But then when you're in constant communion with him, I mean, the more you talk to somebody, the more you're going to get to know them, right? Duh. The same thing applies with God, right? So how often are you talking to him? And then the more you talk to him, the more you get to know him. The more you get to know him, the more you recognize his voice. The more that you recognize his voice, well, then you have an ever-present guide with you, right? And sometimes it won't make sense, but once you know his voice, then that doesn't really matter.
So is self-mastery more spiritual than tactical?
I would probably say yeah, just for me personally, because again, self-mastery isn't about having mastery over oneself. It's about realizing that things that used to be your masters no longer are. And so for me, that was idolatry. Idolatry is spiritual, right? If you're putting something above or before God, well, that's a spiritual malady. It's a problem. So yes, I do think it's more spiritual than tactical. Because I don't think I have a way other than the way, John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one enters the Father except through me, right? It's the name of the damn book. So I think it's definitely spiritual more than tactical.
How do you lead? The leadership, to me, leadership is about a group of people. You're a group of people, you're taking a group of people from A to Z, right? How do you lead, or how can you lead when you feel you're called to something different? This is where I'm placed right now. I am placed here. I'm placed in this unit. I'm placed in this store. I am placed in, I am placed as a restaurant general manager. I am placed as a senior district manager. I am placed as a DM. I am placed as a franchisee. I am placed as a COO. So my job in that role, obviously, is to lead. How can I lead in that role where I feel personally I'm called to something else? I still have to lead because that's where I am.
A couple of days ago, so every day I journal and I read the Bible, and John chapter 21, verses 16, 17, 15, 16, 17 came to me, where Jesus reinstates Peter after he had denied Peter, or after he had denied Christ, saying he
And it
didn't
gives
know
them
him.
the three opportunities, the three
Do you love-
denials, and then the three, do you love me?
Yes. Yes.
After the resurrection.
Yes. Yes. Right. So it's like, then feed my lambs, then love my sheep, then feed my sheep, and things like that. You have to understand that it's not about you, it's about the one who sent you. Right? So yeah, you might not be in the position that you want to be in, or you feel as though that you are called to something greater, but it's not about you. Right? Because being a disciple of Christ is to be and to make, in my opinion. In order to be a good disciple of Christ, you're not only being one, but you're also making others, right? So, and that doesn't mean that you are actively trying to convert people on the job, but
So, I mean, for in the leadership role, I am actively trying to convert them to be leaders. Yeah.
That's the jam.
Right.
That is so the jam for me. I can't tell you how many times. I mean, right now, how many? I think there's at least 3 young men at my current location who have all approached me about becoming team trainers. And it's like, hell Yeah. And it's like, while I'm worried about what my next step is in the business and all those things, it's like, well, what, if you just take care of these two kids, if these three guys, then you're going to be taken care of, because the more that you pour into them, the more the store is going to run better with or without me. And then that's only going to look better for me, right?
Right.
And then that's going to then so then I will be taken care of, because I didn't make it about me, I made it about them. But that's all. Then that's why I tell them. I just said, okay, well, it's a slower location. I don't have endless hours to give like at my other location, which is far busier. So here's the deal, and this is where being a professional football player makes for great analogies and metaphors. Like, I do not just get to play and get paid to do it because I showed up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm good enough to get on the field. I'm good enough to get paid. It's no different than what we do here, guys.
So
if you want to get more hours, if you want to become a team trainer, then show me that you can help us run green and portion properly. You're following the correct build, so my food waste isn't astronomical. And then we can have a conversation.
Right. So I'm bringing this back to last week. Now, we talked a lot about last week's overarching topic was leading under micromanagement,
Mhm.
right? And you're kind of alluding back to that. It's perform.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you lead when you feel you're called to something different? You still perform.
Yeah, but you're performing by pouring into others.
Right.
It's
right.
Not,
yeah.
it's not about
the definition of lead is pouring into others.
Yeah.
That's the to me, that's the concise definition of leadership. If you ask someone, what's a leader? It's someone who pours into others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, we've got a lot of definitions of what a leader is, but ultimately it's someone who pours into others.
Mm-hmm.
So perform, even if you feel like you're in the wrong seat as a leader, as you still perform. And by perform, I mean, you still pour into others.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in the book, and this is kind of the hedgehog thing too, and I think it's something that every single person struggles with, is how do you identify your true gift?
Yeah,
I mean,
this is very hedgehog thing. Yeah.
It is very hedgehog, but it's also, you talk about a lot about that in the book too. You talk about identify your gift.
I think
to get out of the default.
Yeah.
And on the road to self mastery.
Yeah.
Or to get out of what did I
self-sabotage?
Yeah, to get out of self-sabotage default. How do you identify your gift?
I think people identify it in you. I think
that's it.
Yeah, I think people will come to you about it. Just like I see people on the line at my store, like, "Ooh, we have something here," right? Or yeah, somebody will just come out and say it to you. Like, I had a guy who just said, your gift has nothing to do with writing, Hunter. Your gift is perseverance." Huh? I never thought about that. Yeah.
So yeah, I've alluded to this before. When I was young, I was raised in a Christian home. So when I was young, it was like I wanted to be a missionary, right? And so that was and then, it kind of transitioned a little bit into medicine. And then I was going to be I wanted to be, kind of the Christian missionary doctor guy, know? And never thought at that age I'd be where I am today. But people kept saying, David, you're really good at business. You're really good at business. You're really good at leading. You're good at business. I mean, I say that 3 times repeatedly, because people kept saying that to me. Like, no, that's not my calling. You know, that's not my calling. That's not my calling.
Yeah, but then injecting terminology used in the book, that's the call to adventure.
Right.
And then your refusal of the call,
Yeah.
which is just classic storytelling structure.
Right.
Right? The call comes from outside of you. That's why it's called, you are called.
So that's the hero's journey that you
Yeah.
talk about in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on the hero's journey, the hero, you know, when you reference, you know, Star Wars, and you reference, you know, did you reference Lord of the Rings? I think you did.
Lord of the Rings, Harry
Yeah.
Potter, Lion King.
You know,
Yeah.
and all of those, you know, Simba and all of those people, it was an outside someone that said, no, you are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the next king of Pride Rock, or you are
A wizard, Harry.
yeah, or you
Mhm.
are a Jedi Master, or
Yep.
you are, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think that's a way that God can communicate to people that, you know, it's
Amos 3:7. He reveals his plans through his prophets.
right. He reveals his plans through his prophets, through the sword of the Spirit, which is the Bible. You know, that there's, you know, multiple ways that he is trying to, you know. So I like that. I like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you whatever. Let's not move off of that for a minute. That's great stuff for the leader, for the listeners to get, is that what you are called to do probably isn't what you want to do.
probably.
It's probably not what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right. But again, using another term from the book, inster quellinus and venatur, what you most want to find is where you least want to look.
Right.
Moses did not want to lead the Israelites.
Right.
He's like, dude, I can't even talk.
I think, yeah, and I think Word of Faith pastors and that use the verse a lot, that I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. It's like, no, you can't. You know, I could not bench. Yeah, oh, I can do all things, so I'm going to go bench 400 pounds or whatever. You know, I can't do that.
Mm.
But if I am in the place where I'm called, I can do all things.
Yeah.
You know, me, I, you know, it's like,
typically, yeah, but again, it's typically not where you want to go,
right?
Which is again very hedgehog thing, because it's not what you are deeply passionate about. It's what you can become deeply passionate about, right? Because I've been deeply passionate about writing. I've been deeply passionate about football. I've gone all in on both of those things, sometimes more than once, and very slow learner, went broke. had to be admitted into therapy, almost took my own life. It's just like, it's because that's not what I was called to do. It's what I wanted to do. Right? So I think that's really good insight for the listeners as far as what your calling is. It's not going to be something that you want to do.
So how can I test if I'm on the right path? What, you know, I mean, we use a lot of biblical terminology, Hunter and I do, because, you know, that's what's in us. But so I'm going to say, yeah, how do I know I'm on the right path? What's my golden fleece? How do I, or, you know, how do I know I'm on the right path? You know, it's
Are
like,
you producing fruit?
okay, you know, it's like, I never thought I'd be in business, and then I'm in business. How do I know I'm on that right path?
Yeah, I mean, are you producing fruit? So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty nothing. I don't think it was anything that I did with my first store. I just think that I was being obedient to my calling, you know, and it's not that sometimes it comes easy, but again, what is easy? So,
I mean, we're kind of bringing this macro or micro instead of macro. So, default. You know, you talk about default and self-sabotage, and you know that kind of thing in the book. What are the signals? What are the hard decision signals that you're leaving default behind?
oh, in terms of like you finally have defeated it.
Yeah. Because it's going to be, I think it's hard to leave default.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it's unconscious. It's been baked
Right.
into your subconscious for so long that it's a lot of times for people it's just a program running in the
Right, because
background.
you talk
They're literally programmed.
right. You talk about that a lot.
Mhm.
Conscious versus subconscious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I highlight that. Might be one of the highlights, but anyway. But what are the hard? I'm
I'm starting to get off of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am on the path from default to self mastery. What are the
You just you just know. I don't know how else to say it. You just know. And is it going to be hard at times? Yeah. It's going to be. Is it going to be humiliating? Maybe. I hope not as much as it was for me. You'll have to read that in my second book. That's coming out. But yeah, if you're as jacked up as I was in terms of default, then God just might have you be still for a minute. And for me, that was 6 months, right? So because I literally could not help myself.
right?
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah,
I could not help myself. I could not help myself. So God's like, here, like you just sit down there for a minute, son.
Right.
And a minute being 6 months. Because I still wrestle, still have little twitches and wrestling and things like that. And I think that is default trying to creep its way back into my life every now and then. It's like,
so you are on the road to self mastery, or I think you're always on the road to self mastery. That's ongoing sanctification, to use the biblical term. But default still, you're going to struggle again. You're going to fight against it constantly. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thorn in the flesh that Paul talks about.
Right.
Yeah. I think it won't happen overnight, obviously, but there'll be time. Perfect example, my buddy from grade school, he reposted a memory of his on Facebook that was the NFL on Fox did a bit on Facebook of myself and my first ever training client, which was Matt Judon, he's still playing in the NFL. And Matt and I were on Fox Sports page on their Facebook because Matt was a the cream of the crop prospect from the Division II level to make the jump to the NFL. And my wife saw this. I said, honey, did you look at this? This is from 10 years ago. And she looked at it and she was just like, yeah, it's weird to see you that way. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, your eyes just look so dead.
So sometimes it's, again, the outside,
the eyes are the lamp of the body.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes the signals that you're going to receive on the road from default to self mastery are also going to come from the outside. We talked about the person saying you're really good in business, or you're. So you got you surrounded yourself with great people, and you look at that and say, God, remember this episode.
I still think about it, Dave. I was in Mr. Pena's office inside of his castle, and I closed this guy who is worth $600 million to be my chairman. I still think about that. It's like, man, I can't believe I did that. Like that's brilliant. But I was also very much in love with money at the time.
What does it mean to waste your potential as a leader?
What does Jesus say when John the Baptist's boys come and say, hey, well, John was wondering if you're actually the guy because he's in prison right now. And Jesus was like, the blind see, the lame walk. Like, how much longer do we have to put up with this perverse generation? Like we sang a dirge for you, but you didn't dance. Like what is going on, guys? Like, you know, I think it would be similar to that. I think you'll start to feel out of congruence. It's like if you're a writer who's not writing, if you're a singer who's not singing, if you're a leader who's not leading, you'll know it. The term that I've used in the book is that my soul felt an error. Like something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. And you'll have peace. Everybody knows what that feels like. I don't have to articulate that. Everybody knows what peace feels like. And whether you're in alignment with your calling, you'll have peace, and when you're not, you won't.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, Hunter and I are at different places in our careers. If you haven't figured it out, I'm a little older than Hunter. At the end of your career, what would prove to you you chose your calling?
In terms of like, I was a good servant. I was obedient.
I'm trying to make this macro, but it's the end of your career. Let's do the theology. Well done, my good and faithful servant. But I'm bringing this into business and QSR and leadership and that kind of thing. I'm trying to make it applicable for a lot of people. At the end of your career, what would prove you chose your calling?
Honestly, the thing that's coming up in my head right now is I get approached by somebody who asks me to write the book on it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, we've talked about it. I mentioned it in here. I don't know if this will happen or not because time's taken already, but we were on the road for our first away game in Prescott, Arizona, when I was the head strength coach of the Arizona Rattlers, the arena team in Phoenix. And our head coach said, "What's Hunter doing 5 years from now?" This was May of 21. And I said, "Writing novels full time."
Right.
Don't know if that'll happen. But in the book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, I forget what this cat's mission was. I think it was to rid the world of ancient infectious diseases. And once this person did that, then he was approached by somebody to say, "Hey, can you write the book on this? Like, how'd you do that?" I think if I get to that point,
okay,
then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I did the right thing. I did the right thing." Because again, it's such an obscure industry that everybody knows about. It's an obvious obscurity. That's like a double irony or something. And because again, people don't see fast food as a real job. They don't see it as a career. They certainly don't think that it could fast track their dreams. And the more instances that I have with young men or people that don't know that it can really provide a living and security for their family, the more that I want to do that for them, right? Just because this industry redeemed me. And so I think that once I'm in a place and space where it's like, I don't know, maybe I can help the masses rather than just an individual at a time. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you wrote the book on it, the root word of authority is author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm near the end of my QSR career. Doesn't mean I don't think I'm at the end. We're at different places in our career, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say I'm at the end because that sounds terminal. But My answer is, how many people did our stores have a positive effect on?
Well, you're looking at one of them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so to me, it's and it's weird. It's like, okay, at the end of your career, what would prove that you chose your calling? I think most people would answer that like, I made $1 million, I made $5 million. I owned 1,000 franchises. This and that. And the more I think about that, to me, it is, how many people did I have an effect on?
Mm-hmm.
That's that legacy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this whet your appetite enough to read this book. I got a lot out of it. I'm not Hunter's more of a big self-help book person than I am. And I'm not a big self-help book person. I am more of a fiction person.
Mm-hmm.
and um, and I got stuff out of this book, and I encourage anyone who wants to develop leadership. There are leadership pearls of wisdom in this book. So leave a 5-star comment,
Mm-hmm.
share this,
Mm-hmm.
and have a wonderful day.
All righty.